We absolutely love creating food forests here at Daleys Fruit Tree Nursery. They're a really fun garden project to do. So if you've ever been curious about how to get started creating your very own food forest, then we are going to share with you the steps that we go through to create something as beautiful and wonderful as this. One of the first considerations when creating a food forest is the orientation of the space. So here we're working with rows and we have them in a north-south facing direction, and that will maximize the available sunshine that the plants have access to throughout the day. Next, you're going to want to have a close look at your soil. What are you working with? Is it a clay mix? Is it a loam mix? Is it a sandy mix? Do you need to amend it? Do you need to add something? Do you need to build it up? Here we have raised beds. We've had to build this up because there is quite a compacted layer of clay beneath this raised bed garden here. So we build up our beds to enable drainage and the free movement of the roots throughout the growing zone. And once you have shaped your beds like we have here, we have these mounded raised beds, you can then add in your amendments. So you could add in manures and fertilizers and compost, something to give the plants a good boost when they go into the ground and get the root system off to a healthy start. And of course, another very important consideration in the early stages of establishing a food forest is irrigation. Are you going to be relying on rainfall? Are you going to use drippers or sprinklers, or are you going to use a hose to water your plants? It's a really good idea to have a clear plan on how you are going to get water to your plants, because they will be needing it. At this site, we'll be irrigating using a line with some small sprinkler heads attached that will be watering the plants regularly. When you're creating any garden, it is very important to protect the soil. So you can see here that we have bare soil. That is something that you want to address as soon as possible, and make sure that you have a good layer of mulch protecting any bare soil in your garden. Now you can see here behind me that we have some ground covers happening. So this bed was only partially mulched, or you could say it wasn't mulched as deeply as we have mulched our other beds. So that allowed the light to get in, the seeds that were in the soil to germinate, and they are growing. So if you don't have mulch, such as a sugarcane or hay or something, or straw, something, or wood chip that you're going to be covering the soil with, then you can always use a living layer of plants as a mulch. And so here we've got some warrigal greens and we've got some tomatoes, and we're in a protected zone. It's quite warm in here. They are flourishing, they are doing really well, but more importantly, they are covering that soil. So number one, always keep the soil covered, whether it is with mulch or with plants. You want that soil to be covered and protected at all times until you are able to go and start planting and developing your food forest plan further. Once you have your soil nice and protected, like you can see here, we have a really thick layer of mulch on top of the soil. We've amended the soil, we've raised the soil, we've got the irrigation all in place, we've covered the soil, and then the next step really is to start designing how you want your trees to be. What is the plan? What is the design that you will follow? So here we've laid out the larger plants first, and that is always a good starting point when you're creating a food forest. So for us here, we've got jackfruit, sapodillas and garcinias, and we're going to be using those as our base, and then around those we will be adding in smaller different layers over time. For me, one of the best things about creating a food forest is the planting. And when you're making a food forest, of course, you're putting a lot of plants in the ground. So you get that buzz of planting a lot of things in a short period of time. So here we've had our layout all set up and we've got them planted now. But within this area here, you can see there is still quite a lot of space, and that's where the fun can also continue, because you can just keep adding plants and seeds and seedlings and lots of variety to this space over time, because This is all really usable, really fertile space that can be used to maximize the production of food. And being a food forest, that is what it's all about. You want to create as much food as possible, and you can really get things off to a great start even by planting some quick cycle plants like the annual vegetables, and then you can move into the perennial vegetables, and then you can move into the small shrubs and bushes that will create these layers between these trees here. So the trees that we have planted here, that is the formwork, that is the base design, and over time they will grow and they will establish and they will provide the framework. But within that space, there is more room for more plants, and making a food forest is a really creative activity, and you get to make it however you like. It is yours to design, it is yours to enjoy. Happy food foresting, everyone. Just get out there and get into it.